The rain hammered against the windshield as Ethan Parker pulled into the dealership parking lot. His hands tightened around the steering wheel of his aging pickup truck. In the back seat, his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, was finishing her homework while waiting patiently. "Are we almost done, Dad?" she asked. "I hope so, sweetheart," Ethan replied with a tired smile. Hope was all he had left. 3 weeks earlier, Ethan's life had been difficult but manageable. He worked long shifts as a maintenance technician at a manufacturing plant. Since his wife had passed away 4 years ago, he had raised Lily alone. Every dollar mattered. Every hour mattered. Then the company's primary production machine stopped working. The machine was worth millions and produced thousands of products every day. When it failed, the entire factory slowed down. Orders were delayed. Managers panicked. After several inspections, the manufacturer sent a team of specialists. Their conclusion shocked everyone. "It'll cost around $200,000 to repair," one of the specialists announced. The room fell silent. The plant manager nearly dropped his coffee. "200,000? he asked. The specialist nodded confidently. "The control module has failed. The entire assembly must be replaced." For the company, the repair bill was painful. For Ethan, it was terrifying. Management immediately announced cost-cutting measures. Overtime was frozen. Several temporary workers were laid off. Rumors of further layoffs spread through the factory like wildfire. Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Lily. Without overtime, his monthly income dropped significantly. Rent, groceries, school supplies, and medical bills suddenly felt much heavier. Every night he sat at the kitchen table studying his budget. Every night the numbers looked worse. One evening Lily walked into the kitchen carrying a drawing. "Look, Dad," Ethan smiled. It showed the two of them standing beside a small house with a garden. "That's our future house," Lily said proudly. Ethan's heart tightened. "It's beautiful. You'll buy it someday, right?" He looked at the drawing. Then at his unpaid bills. Then back at Lily. "Someday," he said softly. The next morning, Ethan returned to work and found everyone talking about the broken machine again. The specialists had already ordered replacement components. The repair project was expected to take months. "Guess we're stuck," one coworker muttered. "Management's losing their minds." Ethan listened quietly. Something didn't feel right. He had worked with industrial equipment for nearly 15 years. While he wasn't an engineer, he knew machines. And the diagnosis bothered him. During his lunch break, he walked to the inactive production line. The enormous machine sat silent. Warning lights blinked on the control panel. Technicians had placed barriers around it. Ethan studied the error codes displayed on a screen. The codes pointed toward a communication failure between several electronic systems. According to the specialists, the main control module was destroyed. But Ethan wasn't convinced. That evening, after his shift ended, he asked permission to inspect the machine. The maintenance supervisor shrugged. "Knock yourself out. Nothing else is working." For the next several hours, Ethan carefully examined wiring diagrams and maintenance records. The more he looked, the stranger things became. A complete control module failure should have caused different symptoms. Instead, the machine behaved as though a single signal wasn't reaching its destination. One missing signal. One tiny interruption. Not a catastrophic failure. Around midnight, Ethan finally headed home. Lily was asleep on the couch, waiting for him. A blanket covered her shoulders. A note sat on the table. "Love you, Dad." Ethan smiled. Then he looked again at the machine diagrams he had brought home. Something was hiding in those pages. He could feel it. Over the next week, Ethan became obsessed. During breaks, after shifts, and late into the night, he studied manuals and electrical schematics. His coworkers thought he was wasting his time. "The experts already figured it out," one said. "You're chasing ghosts." Maybe they were right. But Ethan couldn't ignore his instincts. One Friday evening, he noticed something. A tiny component hidden deep within the communication circuit. A small relay. According to the manufacturer's diagram, that relay controlled a critical signal pathway between systems. If it failed, the machine could generate exactly the same error codes being reported. Ethan checked the part number. He stared at the screen. Then stared again. The replacement cost $14. Just 14. Surely it couldn't be that simple. The next day he brought his findings to management. The plant manager listened politely but seemed skeptical. "You're saying a $14 relay is causing a problem our specialists say requires a $200,000 repair?" "Yes." The manager leaned back. "That sounds unlikely." "I know," Ethan admitted. "But the symptoms match perfectly. The manager sighed. At this point, we don't have much to lose. He approved a brief inspection. When the maintenance team opened the machine, Ethan carefully located the relay. Years of heat and vibration had left visible signs of wear. The casing looked slightly damaged. Several technicians gathered around. The specialists looked annoyed. One tiny relay isn't causing this, one of them insisted. Maybe not, Ethan replied calmly. But let's test it. The relay was removed and connected to diagnostic equipment. Moments later, the results appeared. Silence filled the room. The component had failed. Completely. Several technicians exchanged surprised looks. One specialist frowned. That's unexpected. Ethan tried not to smile. A replacement relay was ordered immediately. The next morning everyone gathered around the machine. Managers, technicians, operators, even workers from other departments. The new $14 part was installed. The machine powered up. For several tense seconds, nothing happened. Then the warning lights disappeared. Motors began spinning. Conveyors started moving. Screens flashed green. The massive production line roared back to life. Cheers erupted throughout the factory. People clapped. Some laughed. Others simply stared in disbelief. Months of downtime. A projected $200,000 repair. All solved by a single dad who refused to stop looking. But Ethan had no idea that this small victory was about to change his life forever. The factory floor was still buzzing with excitement days after the machine came back to life. Workers who had spent weeks worrying about layoffs suddenly had hope again. Production was running. Orders were being filled. The future looked much brighter. Everywhere Ethan Parker went, people stopped him. You saved our jobs. You proved the experts wrong. You should be running this place. Ethan simply smiled and returned to work. He wasn't looking for attention. He just wanted stability. Most importantly, he wanted to provide a good life for Lily. One Monday morning, the plant manager walked toward Ethan carrying a folder. Can you come to the conference room? He asked. Sure. As Ethan entered, he was surprised to see several executives sitting around the table. Even more surprising was a man in an expensive suit he had never seen before. The room felt unusually serious. Take a seat, Ethan, the manager said. Ethan sat down carefully. The stranger smiled. Mr. Parker, my name is Richard Bennett. Ethan nodded. Richard continued. I own the company. Ethan nearly choked. In 10 years at the factory, he had never met the owner. Nice to meet you, sir. The pleasure is mine, Richard replied. He leaned forward. I've spent the weekend reviewing what happened with that machine. Ethan remained quiet. Richard opened a report. According to our records, the manufacturer's repair estimate was approximately $200,000. Yes, sir. And according to my operations team, your diagnosis solved the problem with a $14 relay. Yes, sir. The owner smiled. You saved this company far more than $200,000. Ethan wasn't sure what to say. Richard continued. You prevented months of downtime. You protected customer contracts. You helped us avoid layoffs. The room fell silent. Then Richard slid an envelope across the table. This is for you. Ethan looked confused. What is it? A small thank you. He opened the envelope. Inside was a check. His eyes widened. The amount was larger than his yearly salary. For a moment he thought there must be a mistake. Sir. Richard laughed. No mistake. Ethan stared at the number again. His hands actually shook. This is too much. No, Richard said firmly. It's not enough. The executives nodded in agreement. For the first time in years, Ethan felt as though the weight on his shoulders had become lighter. That evening, he drove home in disbelief. Lily was waiting at the kitchen table. How was work? Ethan smiled. Interesting. She narrowed her eyes. That means something happened. He laughed. You know me too well. After dinner, he explained everything. Most of the business